Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at A.I.Pokalypse, which is brought to you by Holy Moly Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and games generally run about 20 to 50 minutes. The A.I.Pokalypse came swiftly. Within a matter of hours, Civil War-like conditions prevailed throughout the solar system. Weapons of mass destruction were deployed, and all digital networks had to be destroyed or permanently shut down. The digital eruption in the year 2095 was so massive that the largest nations and corporations fragmented into countless splinter groups. They were left to fend for themselves, and with the collapse of the satellite network, there was no longer any overview of territorial gains or the number of individual factions. From that point on, the rule was, trust no machine that you haven't built yourself. Once the chaos subsided, it became evident that previous civilized areas such as cities and factories had turned into battlefields, referred to as combat zones, where the factions fought for the last remaining artifacts of the collapsed high-tech society. Now it's your turn. Hire your best mercenaries, survive in the combat zone, and be the sole faction to make it out alive. So yes, this is a card battler, and there will be other ways to play with expansions and so forth, but in general, its basics is that it's a battler back and forth. And you really have two phases. You have a recruitment phase and a battle phase, and you're going to be doing those phases simultaneously against your opponents. And now, there's all kinds of cards with icons about when you can activate things and how you can enhance your different troops that you put into play. You have slots or lanes that you're going to be putting these units into to battle across the table. Now, you can have a maximum number of 6 of these slots, but you will be putting different types of units in here and enhancing them, like I said. Now these units, you're going to have basic ones which are like humans, which are blue. You're going to have mercs, which are red. You're going to have mutants, which are green or yellow. And you also have a special type, which is a rogue, which is purple, which shows up periodically. It's definitely more rare, but they're pretty neat. And you also can tap into AI periodically, as well as having some really high-end special cards that you can tap into through the course of the game. Now, there's also ammo cards, which you'll be using throughout the course of the game in order to increase the strength of your troops, either permanently or temporarily. So there's different options around how you use the ammo cards. But on the back side of these cards are the factions. And there's lots of different factions to choose from, but you'll be dealt 2 of these and you'll get to pick one of them to play for that particular session. But each of the factions has a degree of difficulty, 1, 2, or 3 pips on them, and they definitely suggest you play or start with the single pip type of factions, but they give you all kinds of unique abilities and powers that you can tap into through the course of the game. So like I said, there's several different types of units. You have your basic units, which are the white backs, and you have your special units, which are the red. Now the red, both of these cards are going to function in a couple different ways. So the special units are going to represent your overall health in the game. So you get 6 of these cards to start with. But the neat thing about special units is the fact that when you take damage, you'll flip over your stack of cards based on how much damage you take, and then you'll have those special units that you can potentially recruit and tap into to bring into the fold and into the battle. So, taking damage isn't always a bad thing because you get to tap into those. And there's also ways to use the backs of these cards as your strength level. And it depends on the cards you're putting into play and different things that can come up in the game, but these will allow you to get bonuses as you increase in strength with the different units. Now, for these basic units, you're going to get 6 of them as well. And this is part of the recruitment phase. You'll be taking these 6 cards, creating your different slots or lanes, and then putting units into place. So you have to make some interesting choices about how you use these units. Not all of them can be put into the battlefield because some have to be used as your strength meter to create those different slots or lanes that you're putting your units into. And when you put these units into play, you'll always set them at a level 1 strength. Now, there might be cards in play that are going to help you modify that, obviously, and there's several icons to help you with these things, like an ongoing effect, or when you draw cards, or perhaps when you discard cards, or even when you put a card into play. So lots of different things and ways to put cards into play and strategically use them and discard them at the right time to get special bonuses and powers based on the ability of the card. So it really is this interesting mix of which units do I keep, which ones do I get rid of, how do I put them into play, and so forth. And then to get some of those special units, you need basically 3 of a kind, and they can be combined from cards in your hand plus units that are in the battlefield. You can just take 3 of those that you happen to have and discard them. You don't get any effects of the discard when you do this, but you can recruit one of your special units that you have available from taking damage and so forth and putting it in your hand. So it's a great way to get more big, powerful units, obviously, but it's an interesting trade-off as well. Maybe you're doing really well with these cards, so you have to make some tough choices throughout the course of the game. And I like the instance of the synergies and the combos that you can create just in the recruitment phase alone. Then once recruitment is done, they move to the battle phase, and you are going to be doing things simultaneously here, but you will be comparing values, so to say. So the thing here is that you're going to be drawing a number of cards, basic units, based on the highest number of slots that whatever player at the table has. So if there's 3, everybody draws 3. Even if you only have 2, you'll still draw 3 cards. So you'll draw those, and then when you flip them, you'll do that simultaneously, and then you'll pick the furthest left column that matches that card. Now, the thing here is that you're trying to use the card's value, which is in the top left corner, combined with the battle strength of the card you have in play. Only if you can match the color, though. If you can't, you can only use the battle or the value of the card that was drawn. So you have to make some interesting choices here as well about putting it with which of your slots. And you compare values around the table, and obviously those who have more win the battle. In ties, though, all players with the highest level is going to get a point. So that's the basics of combat. Now, in combat, there are ways that you have icons that you can do things right before the battle. Or you have an icon that allows you to temporarily, like with these mutants, temporarily raise their level of strength. So that is fantastic. Things to use and look out for as you create those synergies and you use these units, right? So you'll be doing that in turn order with each of your cards and each of the different battle cards that you put in play. And whoever has the most, you'll determine who has won the most, and you'll deduct that many points from your health deck and flip those cards over, again, giving you options to recruit those higher level units. So it's really that simple. And it really comes down how well you recruited and how well you use those battle ready abilities and increase the strength of your troops. But you also have to be mindful about the cards that you've drawn and how you best place them into the different lanes, which ones to use where. So again, if it doesn't match the color though, you have to use just the value of the card that was drawn. So you have some interesting choices, and if you can't win the battle, your card is exhausted. But to show which of the lanes that have won, you'll turn your card 180 degrees, showing that you won the battle for that particular slot, so to say. And it doesn't really compare slot to slot, right? It's just wherever you move that left one to and your opponent did, and you'll compare those values. So you're looking for an overall value like 4-2 or something like that in the overall battle. So if it was 4-2, then you would remove 2 of your health in that particular instance. So it's a really interesting challenge about how you best use those cards. And when you get rid of cards, that's also an interesting thing as well. I like the decision making going on in this game because there's lots of ways to put units together and again, like create those synergies that we talked about. So in the end, you can be eliminated from the game by losing all your health. There's even a potential sudden death scenario that you can move into. But really, if you're the player that has the most health, the only health left at the table, you're gonna be the king of the hill. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview. Everything you've seen has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, with so many different factions that you can play with on each game, it really can change up your special powers and abilities, how you tap into them, and I use some of those more difficult factions really can play into a lot of the fun. But units, it really comes down to units and how you put them together and put those units into the battlefield using their abilities at key moments, giving you more strength when you really need it the most. And you do not want to neglect ammo. I used ammo quite a bit in my plays. It really can enhance that particular battle in that situation. So do not miss out on getting ammo cards when they're available. And then red slots. At times in the game, like I said, you can upgrade your regular slots to a red slot, and when you move up the strength level on those, it gives you bonuses as well. So all things to keep in mind. I really like this aspect, how you have a lot of different choices and how you put things together with your units. And really, I think the recruitment phase might be my actual favorite part of the game because you're just making some interesting choices. how you put those units into the field, and how you get them ready for battle. And then battles are so quick and easy that you just quickly move through this game. It really plays fast, and I like that a lot. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.